Ukraine shells Russian city, Rostov, killing civilians. This just broke minutes ago at RT, state-affiliated media in Russia. The full article is going up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Right now, we'll also tweet it at Real Alex Jones and post the full article up on Facebook. And this again happened yesterday, but it's just now breaking. More of this is ongoing and happening. 1 killed, 2 injured. Russia vows response to Ukraine shelling Russian city. And again, this is ongoing. There's more reports coming out. More of this stuff happened yesterday as well. In fact, here it is today, July 14th. Russia considering surgical strike on Ukraine. Report, our patience is not boundless. Again, our patience is not boundless, Kremlin source says. Russia vows tough response to Ukraine military's border shelling. I mean, this is out of control, and it's designed to start a new war. And you look at who's behind the open borders and his open border society. George Soros publicly brags he's behind our open borders. He bragged a few months ago he was behind the Ukraine situation with the State Department. He is openly involved in the Arab Spring and the whole ISIS situation. They are bringing in global turmoil, global destabilization. This is out of ITAR TASS news agency, Russia. Russia will give a tough response to the shelling of its territory by the Ukraine military, in which civilians were killed. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister said last night the incident occurred early on Sunday when a Ukrainian shell hit a private house in the town in the southern Russian region. The incident is evidence of a profound escalation of danger for Russian citizens on the Russian territory, the diplomat said. Naturally, this action will not be left without a corresponding reaction, he said. The talk with Ukrainian side on the issue is going to be serious and tough, he said in an interview with Russia's Moscow speaking radio station. Russia's speaking station. Again, my friends, this is just all part of the out-of-control stuff that's going on. And it could trigger all sorts of bigger crises at any time. And you notice this has been going on the last few days, and the average person in America can't even find Ukraine on the map, has no idea what's even going on. Eyewitnesses report Kiev death squads going house to house, executing all men under 35 on the spot, crucifying babies and forcing their mothers to watch unspeakable atrocities under a complete mainstream media blackout. That is what RT is reporting, with Francis Boyle, who worked at the highest levels of the globalist operations. He's going to be joining us coming up. He's a protege of Henry Kissinger. He's going to be joining us in the last 30 minutes of the broadcast today to discuss that. And here's the big headline that really should concern everybody from AFP. Moscow considering targeted strikes on Ukraine. Moscow is considering targeted strikes against Ukraine after shelling crossed the border and killed a Russian civilian, citing a source close to the Kremlin. The respected daily quoted a source is saying that Moscow was considering possibility of targeting retaliatory strikes against Ukraine, where escalating clashes, Ukraine says, has killed more than, quote, 1,000 rebels. Between pro-Moscow rebels and government troops, is threatening to spiral into an all-out civil war over the weekend. And again, our patience is not limitless. It's not a civil war. It's already a civil war. It's not going to be a civil war. It's going to be a regional war, and then you've got wars going on in the Middle East and Africa and everywhere else. And again, who is behind it? The globalists are triggering it all. I want to hear from military and former military to get your analysis and your take on what you see unfolding geopolitically, how it all ties together. Because every time I do this, we get a lot of interesting points and angles from contractors, military people, executives, you name it, that have been in Saudi Arabia and worked there, been in Iraq, been in Afghanistan, been in Ukraine, been in Russia, and know the parties and know what's happening. But bottom line, Russia is being tied down and prepared for regional wars. And they're also launching the ISIS-type al-Qaeda people all over Chechnya and other areas to further destabilize Russia. And Russia is going to end up responding militarily and may start bombardments of the capital, Kiev. And then NATO has said they will respond against Russian forces. And then the Russians have said they'll use nuclear weapons in the region. And you go in just a matter of minutes, once all this starts, once Russia starts hitting Kiev or other areas, other military bases in the nation, responding, if Kiev escalates back, then in a matter of minutes, you could go into a nuclear war situation. I mean, when I was walking back from the break room getting a cup of coffee, just 6-7 minutes ago, I was thinking, my God, I live right in the middle of Texas with all these military bases encircling me. And I just realized that if there's a nuclear war, there's probably, let's not exaggerate, I would guess 100 cruise missiles are probably pointed at the area I'm at in Texas, probably dozens of ICBM, Topol-Ms that can carry up to 20 warheads apiece. I'm being targeted, you're being targeted if you live near a military base by scores of warheads right now. And I just hope it falls right on top of me then. I mean, I don't hope that happens, but I've studied the criminology of governments, of Hitler and Napoleon and so many others, and the elite running things, they're just out of control. They just want to destroy everything. They really do. I mean, look at them. They hate anything good. They hate a breastfeeding mother and search her and strip search babies, but then let illegal aliens fly without any IDs. They let Saudi Arabians come in, and they don't have to go through the searches. They get bypassed because the Saudi Arabian government demands it, but American citizens get our genitals grabbed. It's all just a giant fraud, all of it. And the American people, on average, are broken and are weak, and they want it. They like it. They say, hey, buddy, comply. Comply with total destruction of everything we hold dear. And so not admitting how evil things are, letting them by successive approximation, by titrating the dose, build up the level of cultural poisoning. To where we'll put up with anything. Oh, they'll never pass Obamacare with death panels and taxes on people making less than $15,000 a year and rationing of care. This bill's so horrible, there's no way they'll pass it. They passed it, didn't they? And now the $5,000 fines are coming in. And now you're getting cut from 40 hours to 25 hours. And now you're going bankrupt. And now and guess what? Nobody got in trouble, did they? They're busing tens of thousands of illegals every week to major cities across the country, hundreds of thousands a month. And it's going to become a giant crisis. And then they're going to say those of us that aren't for total legalization, we caused it, when total legalization will bring in the next crop for total legalization. But because we say 2 + 2 = 4, they'll point at us and laugh at us. And you're now seeing that. This is the madness of government. The madness of Nero, the madness of Caligula, the madness of Montezuma. The madness. The madness. This is what elites do. They destroy everything at the end. Because they've got a bunch of autocratic scum working for them who are lazy and basically allow the elite to do these type of things. There's a lot of other factors. The public is drunk on entertainment, raised in front of television sets, and has no idea what's even going on. And then you've got a bunch of the other establishment people who are just all into different forms of weirdnesses. It's the decline of a country. It's the decline of an empire. It's the decline of a world. And you notice Homeland Security drills 24/7. They're done with the primer of al-Qaeda. That was the excuse to set it all up, to fight veterans, Christians, gun owners, libertarians, conservatives, constitutionalists. Because they want total power to do whatever they want, and they know anyone who has even an inkling of justice in their heart and mind, who has even a sparkle of a desire to be free, must be eradicated. And if they have their way, we will be. And the nightmare will come true because we let monsters run things and let monsters break our will. I'd like to hear from you out there, military, police. I don't need to hear from you to know the plan. I know the plan. The plan's public. But it's accelerated and moved into such high gear. Do you disagree with me that they're getting ready to stage a false flag, which might be an imploded economy, might be the tens of millions coming in over the border? In fact, we know that's the false flag. We know that's engineered. But are there more false flags to come? Is turning ISIS loose with Stinger missiles, tens of thousands of them, is that the false flag? I think it's all the false flags. I think it's a cluster of false flags, a wave or waves of false flags, a great global crises, conveyor belt. To bring in world government, you have to destroy the old order. And the old order, as bad as it's been, has checks and balances. And work was valued, and the family was valued, and self-defense was valued, and common sense had some value. All of that is now being swept away. And in place of it, raw, naked government power run by eugenicists that have a deep, lustful hate for humanity and a lust to exercise raw, totalitarian, control freak power over us. Every secret demon turned loose in the hearts of man. Every profanity, every perversion. We're taught perversion is sexual, only in nature. And that's another deception of the system to obsess on sex all day. When the perversions of domination and corruption and psychopathic and sociopathic behavior, that's the real perversion. And we have very perverse people in charge right now who lust to bring this country down, who want to dominate this nation and the world. Everywhere they're in charge, they turn al-Qaeda loose to just slaughter and slit the throats of every Christian man, woman, and child they get their dirty hands on. And you won't hear a word about it from all these big glitterbug churches. All right. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Is this the megastorm? Is this the beginning of the coming of the total world government built on the back of crises, on the ashes of the old republics? And the answer is yes. The globalists are back in the news today saying this is part of a North American Union, this crisis. As they said in 2006, now 8 years ago. In Banff, Canada, they openly said there, we will use border crises to bring this in. Rex 84. And I know that for many of you that are new listeners, I might as well be speaking in some verbalized, hieroglyphical screed on ancient jungle-covered walls. But for those that know history, this is written in a clear, bold hand that spells a great time of misfortune and doom. And I'm not being a negative person. I simply wish that we didn't have to go through this I wish by telling people what's happening that this didn't have to unfold. A car pulled out in front of me yesterday, and I overcompensated and went up on the curb and I was about 30 feet away from pedestrians walking, and I quickly went back onto the street and didn't run over them. But it wasn't that I was being pessimistic when I moved out of the car's way, hit the curb, went up on it, and hadn't had a wreck in many years, thank God. Saw there were people walking and hurriedly said, well, I guess I got to go back into that car. Went back down off the curb, only got one tire up on it. So even if I would have got to where the people were, I probably wouldn't have hit them because they were about 6 feet over. It was a big sidewalk, 6 feet over, about 30 feet down. But I made the split-second decision. I just got to turn back into that car. Didn't even look because I saw those people. And by that time, the car had swerved back out of the lane, so I was able to get back in without hitting them or the people. And it was quick action that kept me from, having the wreck or running over the people. And I literally thank God that I didn't hurt somebody. But the issue here is that if I'd have been in denial, if I'd have hesitated, something bad would have happened. And so that's why I'm being so scary, because it is scary. Russia says they may start bombarding Ukraine with fighter bombers. NATO has said they will hit Russia. Russia will then respond with nuclear weapons. And a lot of people say, oh, it's all staged. That won't happen. Bull. It's not all staged. There are three power blocks. There are the Chinese, the Russians, and then the United States, England, and the EU. That's the big dominant group. And the Chinese and the Russians use the globalist technologies of control. They're just as bad in many respects. But there are different power blocks, and they've all infiltrated each other as well at the highest levels. But this is real. And the fact that the public thinks nothing bad can happen and our ruling class thinks nothing will happen, there's a reason NATO never did stuff like this with Russia before. Because Russia will end up attacking. And they tried this on 8/88, and Russia rolled nukes in to Ukraine, into Georgia, and said we're about to attack. And NATO pulled back. I don't know if they'll pull back now.
Hi, I'm Shane Steiner. A lot of you have been following my progress using Super Male Vitality. The last 19 weeks has been an incredible experience. I was feeling a little down and lethargic during the holidays, and none of the supplements that I was taking were doing any good. That's when my longtime friend from high school, Alex Jones, introduced me to Super Male Vitality. I was a little skeptical at first. Not only would I have the energy to work out and go to the gym, but it was actually the changes were happening to my body a lot more rapidly. My whole mood, my libido, everything had completely changed. The concentrated organic herbs, they stimulate your natural systems to produce the natural hormones that you need. I just really wanted to bulk up and hit it hard, and I went in for about the first 5 weeks and was lifting heavy weight and just really hitting it hard, and I gained 20 pounds of muscle immediately. Since that, I've decided I was going to lose some weight and slim down. I just changed up my workout a little bit, and 35 pounds came off. Folks, this is not a joke. This is not a gimmick, it's real. Super Male Vitality, available at InfoWarsLife.com.
Moscow considering targeted strikes on Ukraine, attacking openly, because Ukraine is now bombing and killing thousands, in their own words, right on the Russian border, and now attacking into Russia with shelling. It's wild. Meanwhile, our border is being collapsed by design. The very same George Soros is on record. He's bragged that he's behind the open borders here and Ukraine. I need somebody, Paul Watson, Steve Watson, Kurt Nemo, Adon Salazar, Kit Daniels, one of our writers to write something about that, about how Soros and the authoritarian left are behind global destabilization. They are supervillains from a James Bond movie. All right, I said I'd shut up and go to your calls. Go to Shane, MP, Scott, Ian, Adam. This is a short segment. I'll get to everybody on that's on hold in the next segment for sure, but let's go to Shane right now. Shane in Florida, U.S. Army. Am I right, do you think, to be concerned about the global escalation we're seeing? And it's obviously a global destabilization program. What do you think the political class hope to gain out of this?
Well, you know, you're preaching to the choir. Obviously, I agree with you. That's why I'm calling in. I was thinking about yesterday, you asked, what do I think their goal is with some of this? And let's just specifically with the flood of illegals coming across the southwest border. Anytime that the military is going to do anything, or any machine has to be tested, you have to validate it. Our FEMA camps aren't validated.
No, that's it. I mean, they said in the 80s they would use opening the borders up to create a constitution-suspending crisis to get emergency camps approved and primed. And so, no, they're actually carrying out Rex 84. That's another headline. Obama is carrying out Rex 84 Constitution suspension plan. And we can reprint the Miami Herald articles from the 80s and show the plan. You're right. They're doing it.
A co-opted political restoration would be in order for them. They need to co-opt a political restoration and at the same time get Americans, including the people we think right now are patriots, to rationalize more of a papers, please mentality and voter ID laws. Listen, I don't have any problem
Exactly. And like Ron Paul said, the fence is for the American people, not for the illegals. They'll claim they're going to put all this stuff in for the illegals now, and it won't be for them. Look at how the TSA is ordered to let the illegals in, but not let citizens fly. Exactly.
Well, and then the other thing, too, I just want to let you know, and I don't want to waste the time, that one other good point I've got for you is, I got out of the military a lot because of this stuff, what you're saying, what other guys are saying like you. I woke a lot of people up in my unit. I've called you a couple of times, and I've had a little free time lately to call you, but I'm telling you right now, I mean, it's fire. It's fire inside, at least my guys. And a lot of my guys touch other people. A lot of former Special Forces guys were pilots with me. I flew Apaches. They became pilots. It's not like they don't talk to all their special ops guys.
Well, let me ask you this. Are they aware of what's happening?
Yeah, they're absolutely aware. I mean, it's on fire on social media and stuff. Less and less people are afraid to be talking. I was very alone in 2008-9, and I'm not so much alone anymore. And so that's good. That's a good thing. So I just want to give a positive thing.
No, I agree with you. There's a huge awakening. Most police I talk to are awake. That's why we've got to be important. It's very important not to alienate the police, which the globalists want us to do. They have the police do things that are bad and accentuate bad things they're doing to create an us against them mentality. We need to reach out to the police. We've done it to the military. I'm just wondering how the establishment thinks they're going to get away with this, because I've looked at all the angles, Shane, and I don't see them at the end of the day getting away with this.
Get ready to feed your neighbor. That would be the only way I can see. I mean, the people down here in southern Florida, down around where I'm at in Fort Pierce, there's lots of local farmers markets. They're not going to let this happen. They're going to feed their neighbor. Does that mean they're going to let themselves get taken advantage of? No, but I mean, there's a lot of people talking. I've talked to local police, law enforcement.
Good. No, if people aren't getting ready, they're nuts. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield, true nascent iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.